Welcome to the Daily for Wednesday, July 7th with Greg Lawless. I'm Jason Segini, and if you missed Extra Time Radio last night, Simon Borg all but guaranteed victory for the Houston Dynamo in their Open Cup game against Chivas USA. So what happens? Inevitably, 3-1, Chivas takes it over Houston.
Well, Simon obviously forgot about the Braun factor. Justin Braun from Chivas USA, 2 goals on the night. Obviously a player that I've talked about many times as a guy that I really like. But really this game came down to Chivas playing all their starters and Houston playing many of their reserves, Jason. And the way this is what should happen really when one team plays their starters and another one plays their reserves. Houston obviously thinking long term in terms of the league and what they need to do to maintain a playoff spot going forward. Right. Chivas looking to get some momentum out of this because they haven't been playing well right now in the league and they needed to do something to get a little bit of momentum. They go down to Houston, they get the result.
Yeah, and the win puts Chivas USA in the semifinals. The other game last night was Houston's opponent this weekend in MLS action. Columbus Crew taking on the Charleston Battery. Columbus, they played a mix of starters and reserves. But the reserves of Columbus are basically MLS starters on any other team. So they walloped Charleston 3-0.
Yeah, they did a good job. Charleston went to Chicago last round and went with a 0-0 game, went into penalties. In this time, though, Columbus didn't give him a chance in this. Steven Leonard was the man for Columbus in this one. He sets up the penalty kick that Emilio Renteria puts away, and Leonard gets a goal for himself as well later on, and then Eddie Gavin added the third one. Look, Columbus is a professional team that comes out every single game they think they can win the game. Doesn't matter if they're playing Charleston or if they're playing Los Angeles. They assume that they're going to try and get a result out of it. And on this one, you know what? Leonard, a guy who's trying to prove that he should be the starter up top rather than Jason Gary, this is the kind of game where he came in, he made a statement. Robert Warzija now has another decision to make for the player up top.
Yeah, and that's what you want if you're an MLS team. You want players competing for positions. Another team that has that is the LA Galaxy, and that's why they've been so good this season. They have a ton of depth on their team, plenty of movable parts in terms of replacing lineups. They go up to Seattle at the Starfire Complex. It's a smaller venue for Seattle, sold out already, but that game is tonight in another quarterfinal action. Yeah,
Los Angeles, obviously they played this past weekend and the Galaxy walloped Seattle 3-1. They got goals from Edson Buttle, which was huge. Landon Donovan coming back. I would expect that Landon Donovan and Edson Buttle will get this game off. They're not going to probably travel even up to Seattle. They need a break. The Sounders, on the other hand, they'll be looking to get some momentum, kind of like Chivas did against Houston. They need to do something to get to jumpstart their season. They are the defending U.S. Open Cup champions. This is important to them for trying to get the hardware. That's the kind of thing they always want in Seattle. Obviously, since they came into the league, they've talked about that. So you have to get Freddie Montero on the field. I think you might even look for Freddie Ljungberg to start. However, this is probably a game for Nate Jaqua. He's coming back from injury. He's going to be up top. I would expect him to start in this one, and I think this is a game that he needs to prove that he's back and that he can contribute to the Sounders.
Yeah, well, that game tonight you can watch on the Sounders site. It'll be streamed, so should be an exciting one between these two teams who just played. You get that sort of rivalry, instant rivalry because of the emotion of just having played them.
Yeah, and another thing in this one is about the Galaxy. They've looked so good on the field. Now they need to translate that into some sort of silverware. And so it's important for them, I think, to get this result and keep moving in the U.S. Open Cup.
That brings up a question. How good can this Galaxy team be? I mean, they're already, if they win tonight, that's the semifinals of U.S. Open Cup, so they have a chance for hardware there. Obviously, they have a shot at the Supporters Shield. They have a shot at MLS Cup because they're dominant. Can this team do some damage in CONCACAF Champions League as well?
I think they could. They've shown that they have the depth when Buttle and Donovan went off to South Africa. Obviously, they showed they had some depth with guys like Tristan Bowen coming in. And then you have contributions from Jovan Karofsky, who's doing very well. Mikey Stevens, the rookie, also showing very well. So that depth will serve them well. The problem is, after a while, there are too many games that start to pile up. Once the CONCACAF Champions League starts in, if they continue in the U.S. Open Cup, that's going to be another one. They want to try and chase history, I think, in the league. That's important to them. But I think you say, how good can they be? They could win a ton of trophies, or they could walk out of this entire thing with not a single piece of silver.
Speaking of trophies, Greg, obviously the semifinals of the World Cup today, Spain versus Germany. Couldn't ask for a bigger matchup. This could easily be the final of the World Cup. Who do you have?
Well, I'm actually going to take Germany. I'm looking forward to a Germany-Holland final, a rematch of the 1974 World Cup final. The reality is, I think that even without Thomas Muller, this German team has enough attacking power. They're very dynamic, and I think they can get in behind what has been really a lackluster Spanish defense. Sure, they haven't allowed many goals, but they just don't look like dominating the way they have in the past. And I think that with guys like Ozil, Miroslav Klose chasing history, trying to catch Ronaldo as the all-time leading scorer in the World Cup, this is a game where Germany, and I forgot to mention, Bastian Schweinsteiger, who's going to obviously be running the midfield for them. I think with all of those weapons, they can get in behind the defense and get some goals and beat Spain.
Well, I don't see it being a goal fest, although it very could be with the offensive talent on the field. But Spain giving up 2 goals all tournament, I just feel like they're going to be sure in the back. It's going to be that one squeaking goal on a set piece or something. I'm going with Spain. It'll be interesting to see if Torres gets on the field or if Llorente starts for him. But either way, it should be a good story. It should be a spark for Spain.
And either way, they have David Villa. So, I mean, you can almost expect a goal from him at some point in this game.
Yeah. All right. A reminder, check out Extra Time Radio 5 to 7 every night during the World Cup. Otherwise, we'll be back on the Daily tomorrow.